has 12 edges, 6 faces, and 8 vertices.
Pretty cool that there's a hexahedron and not a barjoahedron. Aussie developers Flat Earth Games are tapping into our innate desire to build with their new tablet game, TownCraft. It's currently only available for iPad at the moment, but they hope to release it on other devices as well. So let's get crafting.
Similar to the basic concept behind Minecraft, you're dropped into the middle of a landscape with literally nothing but your wits about you. You must set about finding a few materials to craft some basic tools to get yourself started, like a hatchet to chop wood and a pickaxe to mine stone.
There's a nice little tutorial to teach you the basics, but after that, it's up to you to experiment with combining objects to see what you can come up with. There's no recipe index, it's all trial and error, but if you use common sense, you can work out most items fairly easily. Heat sand in a furnace to create glass, and combine glass panes with iron poles to create windows, for example.
You can also forage for seedlings to plant crops, which when harvested can be combined to make more complex food items. Harvest wheat, build yourself a windmill to make flour, build a well to fetch water, combine flour and water to create dough, then bake the dough in an oven to make bread. Easy.
It's a lovely experience, isn't it? Setting about your country lifestyle, making simple things from simple ingredients. Farming is probably the only element of the game that is even remotely stressful, as crops take time to grow. But if you don't harvest them when they're ripe, they'll wither and die and will need replanting. Tend to your crops well and they can be a lucrative business for your town.
Affirmative. As you expand your city, staying on top of all the various jobs that need to be done is much too time-consuming. So passing villagers can be hired to do the work for you. Everything from farming to chopping wood to operating your windmill. But they require wages and you need money to pay them, or they'll leave.
Yes, this is where all your hard work pays off. Finished items can be sold to traders, and the better and more complex the item, the more it's worth. I made most of my money from tables and dresses as I found they were the easiest and quickest to make and sold for the most gold. To make dresses, I grew cotton, harvested it and spun it on a loom to make 2 different kinds of cloth, which I then crafted into fine frocks. Tables are a lot simpler though, it's just a matter of cutting the lumber into the right shapes at a woodworking bench. I made a lot of tables.
You also need to give your employees and villagers somewhere to sleep. Build nice houses out of timber and stone and furnish them with beds so they're comfortable. And keeping the area well lit with crafted lampposts all adds to creating a civilised town that will attract wealthier patrons to buy your goods.
The crafting can be a bit confusing at times though. I often found myself at a standstill with the recipes. There are often many separate components that need to be crafted individually before combining those items into the finished object you need. It does take time to stumble onto the right process, but that's part of the fun. It's like looking for a missing puzzle piece.
Yeah, I agree, and it is great when you figure those recipes out. For example, I knew that if I could plant grapes and hops, that I should be able to make wine and beer. But combining water and hops or water and grapes didn't seem to do it. Finally, I realised I needed to craft a barrel first, and the grapes and hops could be brewed in that to create beverages for my townsfolk.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun muddling through these processes, isn't it? But it's also a little inconsistent at times. For example, I managed to craft a counter which I could place in a house to make a shop. The item description said it would be perfect for furnishing buildings, but the game wouldn't let me place it anywhere, and I found that really frustrating. Turns out I needed to combine it with something to take it a step further, and then I could place it, such as combining it with mugs to turn it into a bar. So while some things are really clear, others not so much.
Yeah, I have so much flour and wheat, which I'm going through the laborious cooking process of turning it into bread, but I cannot for the life of me figure out how to create a bakery. Counter plus bread doesn't work, counter plus plates and forks doesn't work, but by Jove, I will figure it out! In the meantime, more tables, I guess.
It's important to note that these kinds of games can really thrive on community. No doubt fans of TownCraft will soon create their own online resources and recipe databases to help out other crafters so they can reach their full potential. Until then, there's a wonderful joy to be found in simple experimentation. And fishing.
I really enjoyed this. It's compelling in all the right ways. And as the name suggests, it's all about managing and crafting your town to your heart's content. So I'm giving it 7.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, this is the kind of game where hours just pass by without me noticing. It's just got that perfect balance of maintaining your crops and employees with just the freedom of exploration and experimentation. So I'm giving it 8.
Okay, you two, I suggest you evacuate the studio as I'm about to disrupt the space-time continuum.
Let's get out of here!
Preparing for temporal warp.